This is Justin Scoop on Friday, December 26th, 2025. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Made another all-time high. Today actually got a little bit of a pullback. So, hey, we're after the Santa rally, right? So it can go back down again, I guess. Well, went up first, but yeah, continue to push up and just kind of gave up that gain. So I've got this zoomed in on the 3 minute here, but I'm looking at what we had for Wednesday was half a Wednesday or half a day. Um, so 8:30 to noon Central Time. And then I think this dotted line is off. I think this is trying to be a full day, but it's not. We don't have a lot of half days in the market, so I think just what's showing up with the dotted line is kind of off. But that otherwise that doesn't really mean anything. And then this is like the right about here is today. So, and then didn't quite end it through it. It's just things are looking a little bit off. Hopefully, it'll get back to normal next week. There might be a setting I can go in and check on this, but anyway, with this kind of move, so with the move that we had going up, um, and a little bit of a pullback on Wednesday, and then a move higher today. Let's get that like that, like that. It was due for a pullback, right? Like, is it just going to keep going straight up? We should pull back. Okay, so we pulled back a little bit. Wow, something's going not straight with those. We pulled back here. We easily could have bounced, should have bounced, right? Okay, pulled back a little bit more. Actually pulled into the 100. Always like seeing that. And got a nice little move up and kind of went sideways here and then came back down again and some consolidation. If you kind of zoom out, a lot of times I get zoomed in on this, but if you zoom out, you can kind of see, okay, let's try that again. I got to practice drawing straight. Oh, I was going so good. All right, I like that one. And then kind of like that. So I'm seeing some compression here after a nice big move. I'm going to call it like that. This is like a flag, right? Great flag. Then it should continue. Well, it didn't do that today. It's probably because it's the day after a holiday. It's a Friday. We just made an all-time high on Wednesday and then made another all-time high today. It's okay for the market to rest. And even next week, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday. Thursday's a holiday. I don't think the market closes early on Wednesday, but maybe I should look into that before it gets to Wednesday. But anyway, there were some moves in here. There was definitely some nice consolidation here. This is kind of a wedge shape. And you can say that this is a low, and then we kind of made a relative low and then took out that low. But you can also look at this as being like, okay, is this a low and then hesitate and then a trap? Well, it didn't really trap there. It trapped over here. So, but it did then totally reverse and get going bullish. But we really just stayed dancing on the 100 all through here, even getting away from it a little bit and then coming right back into it twice. Well, here, and here, like three times here. I guess we just kept pulling back right into the 100. So, really good indication of things just resting. Um, kind of like picture this. Let me see if I can get. That's just kind of how things moved. And this will save me the time of actually doing this after the video. So we just grab the screenshot now. So here's the screenshot I'll use for the thumbnail. Okay. So back to the annotate. Go in here, out. All right, let's just look at today to about here and then look back at the options. So here is the 69.30 call and the 69.30 put. And just look at those because we pretty much closed there, right around 69.30. And so there were some moves getting into the close here. It looked like it was pushing up a little bit higher, could rally. You could have been buying inexpensively, not quite at a dollar, never really quite got down to a dollar until right at the close. But it pushed up past three. But it's like, where would you have gone in? 150 maybe? Maybe. But why would you buy at 150 here? Other than, okay, it's bouncing off the 100. So, okay, it's done that a couple times, three times. One, two, three. Okay, buy there. Sure. And just hold on and then flip it out when it gets to a previous high. I think all you're looking at here is like buying at 1.5 and then getting out at like 3. I think that's about it on this one. Um, Earlier in the day where I had this I'm gonna draw back. Nope, it's not going straight. There we go. Like that, that, nope, and that. We were just kind of going down quite a bit on the call. The put actually held some relative high and relative low. I could draw if I could draw that straighter. It actually made a slightly higher low until it broke down. And then when it retested here, it's like, okay, it's giving that up. Um, that was here, I think, when I was retesting that. So that pullback would have matched up with that pullback. That would have been a good place to get in here and just look for some kind of gain. But you, again, if you're looking for this to really run, and get back up to back up to the high, it obviously didn't do that. It really, really slowed down here. Same thing with this option. It just slowed down, came all the way back, and then it's like back right where you got in. So just get out for some profit. It's just not running today. It had time to. There's plenty of time where it could have just done something like this and gotten back up to 69.45, 69.40, somewhere in there, contend with the high. No, it was just going to rest. So it's still good to look at these kinds of days. It was a smaller range, 24 points in the day, and just to see how do these options move, especially the one right at the close. And it's nice when it's right on one of the fives. Um, the strikes are every $5 or 5 points. So it's always good just to see how is that moving, because there's some ways you can play it. If you know it's going to pin there, not know, but if you are anticipating it's going to pin, there's ways to trade that. There's ways to sell options, buy options. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. But understanding how the options move and watching those patterns, watching just the ebbs and the flows, that's what I really enjoy doing with just charting this stuff, tracking this stuff, and obviously looking to get in on something that we can put $100 risk on and scale it from there. So that's about all I got on today's video. I think it'd be easy for us to pull back a little bit if we do that Monday, Tuesday even, and come back into the previous high here. Well, we kind of did that already into this high or this high. We've got so many levels here now that could be potential pullback areas that any of these could be just a next level to pull back to. We could easily get into that, something like this, right back into 6,900 on Monday, and then continue on up from there. When we've been making another all-time high, like we did two all-time highs here, right? And then gapped way down and ended up pushing down further. Could we be in for something like that? Yeah, then look for these purple lines to hold. That's, I think, what I would probably do. But we should have plenty of time, hopefully, before something like that happens. Maybe a little bit of pullback, maybe a little bit of quiet next week too, just with still it being between Christmas and New Year. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right, hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.